Hello and good evening. Welcome to Live at Five with me, Rajwant Doshi. I'm super excited to have you all on today. This will be one of our penultimate shows, so make sure you listen and make sure you're commenting and asking as many questions as you can today. Let me just start my little agenda here for you all. So, who is our special guest today? I'd like to welcome Basil Zempilas, an Australian television and radio presenter, a sports commentator based here in Perth, to our show. So here we go. He comes on live in a few moments. Hello, Basil. Welcome.
Hi, Raj. Good afternoon and lovely to be with you. And what a great honour this is. I've watched the program many times. I know you've got a great following. You do a brilliant job. Well done. This is really brilliant community engagement before our eyes. So well done.
Thank you so much. It's going to be quite exciting because I'm asking you the questions today.
Yeah, I know. What a role reversal, huh? So, and I've been warned, don't worry, Raj won't go easy on you, so I'm ready.
Excellent, excellent. So what we're going to do is we always do a little icebreaker to start with. It's just a few fun questions that we ask. We'll give you 2 minutes and I'll try and ask as many as I can and answer as honestly as you can on them. They're just absolutely fun and lighthearted and nothing else. Okay?
Right.
Okay. Are you ready? Is the question.
I'm ready.
Okie doke, let's go. So, set my timer. Okay. What's the best movie you've ever watched?
Oh, I love The Shawshank Redemption.
Good choice. What was the first album you purchased?
Oh, it was. I wasn't a big individual artist sort of guy. I think it was 1981 with a Bullet or 1982 Under the Sun.
Excellent. If you have to sing karaoke, what song would you pick?
I do like My Way by Frank Sinatra, only because I sort of feel like I can sing along with it and not be too terrible. So it is a favourite of mine.
Excellent. And what did you want to be when you were younger?
That's a very good question. Initially, I thought I might like to be a lawyer. I had an uncle who was a magistrate here in Perth and became chief magistrate. He was very close. And at about year 10 or year 11, I said, Uncle Con, I'm thinking of doing law or journalism. And he said, do journalism. You'll enjoy it a lot more. So I went down the journalism path.
And no regrets?
No regrets at all. No, it's worked out pretty well.
Excellent. Are you a cat or a dog person?
Look, I am more a dog person than a cat person, but right now we are a family without a dog.
Oh, okay. And what languages do you know how to speak?
I speak English reasonably well, and I've got a pretty good command of the Greek language as well. My family's Greek. We're from the island of Castellorizo originally. I was very fortunate when I was a younger man. My grandmother used to babysit me. She lived in Lake Street in Northbridge. She didn't speak English, so I learned at a very young age, and fortunately it stayed with me ever since. I've got a sister who lives in Greece as well, so I get to polish it up from time to time.
Excellent. And are you a coffee or a tea drinker?
Look, I love both, but right at the moment, I'm into the coffee.
Dockers or Eagles?
Well, this won't come as a great surprise. Given the work that I do, I'm invested in both of them. I'm a member of both of them, and I always say, professionally, the better they go, the better I go. So when I say, I don't often sit on the fence, and this isn't sitting on the fence. I really am. I'm both. And there's not people like me, but I am both.
Oh, there's got to be a 1% over the fence. Come on.
I really am down the middle.
Surfing or bike riding?
Actually, probably surfing or bodyboarding at least as a younger man. But now with 3 kids, we love and my wife, we love going out for a family bike ride. It's probably some of the nicest times that we've had as a family, all 5 of us out on the bikes. So bike riding at the moment, it's great fun.
And biggest achievement to date?
Gee, biggest achievement? Well, really? That the buzzer? Good, because my last answer might be my most diplomatic. Really, and anyone who has a family will know, having 3 kids is a huge achievement. I love family life. They energize and inspire you every day. They keep you on your toes. So, no, for Amy and I think being the parents of 3 great, energetic kids is probably our biggest achievement.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much for that. It wasn't too scary, was it?
You're welcome. No, you're right. I was warned, Raj, but so far so good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. Okay. So let's get into this then. So we're going to talk about obviously the running for Lord Mayor. We've
Sure.
got people listening online at the moment who will have questions as we go, and there's some questions that were already preset that people have asked throughout the week. So
Sure.
the first thing we wanted to talk about was tell me a little more as to how you came to your decision to run for Lord Mayor.
Yeah. Look, I've thought about it for a long time. It's been a thought bubble for a long time. I'd say probably around 20 years, to be perfectly honest. And
Wow.
I often thought if I was ever going to enter political life, and to be perfectly honest, I never really considered, perhaps naively, but I never really considered local government as political as such, and I don't think it should be. But
Mhm.
I thought if I'm going to go into any form of government, it would be local government, and that might be the area that best suits me, best suits my interests, and what I feel I can achieve or would like to achieve. So, look, it's been an ongoing thought for some time. Clearly, over the last couple of years, it was becoming evident that we were going to get the opportunity for a fresh start. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Never before in our histories have we had no Lord Mayor and all 8 council positions vacant. And
Mhm.
so this is a fresh start. And I thought, with all of those factors, I thought this is probably the time. So I had some conversations that I had to have with my employers, with my family, and ultimately, really, a conversation with myself. Often I'd ask myself, why would you want to do that? But in the end, whenever I would ask myself that, and on a daily basis probably, in the end, I would answer that by saying, well, why not? And that told me that everything running through my mind was pointing me towards this direction. So no, I'm thrilled to be in the race. I'm finding it energizing. It's invigorating, actually. I'm learning
Mhm.
so much every day, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the decision to put my hand up.
Excellent. And we've had a look at your sort of campaign and the
Mm.
motto that you have. So clean it up, light it up, rip it up, and help it up. Can you tell me a little
Yeah.
bit more about each of these areas and what they mean to you?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, that's not the whole thrust of policy that I will announce during the campaign. But like anything, you want to make it reasonably simple for people to be able to understand what you stand for. And they were 4 terms with a theme that I thought kind of encapsulated a lot of the things that I wanted to do, and each of the things fell into those areas. Clean it up is as simple as that. It's really about making the city cleaner and safer, with a particular emphasis on families feeling as though they can belong in the city of Perth. And one of the common themes before and certainly since my announcement is people want to feel safe. They don't always feel safe within the city of Perth. So clean it up is that broad theme. Light it up. Well, it's both literal but also figurative. I want to light the city up. Obviously, we want more vibrancy. We want greater events, people-focused events, events that we both create but also seek, and we can bring them to Perth. But also, I would like to see more lighting, literally, in the city of Perth. I really love the idea of our city block from Wellington across to St George's Terrace, Barrack Street, and William Street being surrounded, for example, the trees in that square having fairy lights in them. So it's literal as well as figurative. Rip it up. I want it to be easier to do things in our city, including parking, for example, and accessibility, getting in and getting out. But I also want it to be easier for families, for businesses, for developers to be able to get in and do things. If the projects are great, let's make it easier for them to happen. And finally, help it up. I think we've all got a responsibility to help those who are less fortunate than ourselves, but help it up also extends in this case to helping get some great projects off the ground, and I will chat about it a little bit later on. One of my
Yeah.
bigger picture projects, which it would never be solely City of Perth responsibility, but I love the idea of Australia's preeminent Indigenous museum and cultural centre being
Wow.
within the City of Perth, and I would love to see and love to be part of the team that helps get that up off the ground. So, in a brief synopsis, that's some of what I stand for in those 4 themes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Um, so and a few more questions that have come through from the audience. Now, I will thank you, Andrew Hawes. I will go through yours as well as we go through the programme today. But what were your thoughts on the recent inquiry findings? So a lot of people have been asking the question around, do you think existing councillors, whether they were involved or not, should still stand for up and coming elections? Do you think what's your thoughts on that?
Well, look, my personal view, this is a personal view on that. Clearly, the language from the Commissioner was around all of the councillors, and he did make the point that had he been in a position to do so, he would have dismissed the entire council. Now, that is not a comment on impropriety, guilt, or otherwise, but that was his commentary. Until we see it tabled in Parliament, I'm not sure. But my own personal preference, this is an opportunity at a fresh start. I don't have sway or can't tell people what they should or shouldn't do, but my own personal preference would be to see a new Lord Mayor and a new set of 8 councillors after the October election. I think that is the fresh start that our city is looking for.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. And I've got David Broadway here. He just wanted to say hi to you and pass his regards, that you pass him on Peer Street, and he'll be chatting to you soon. So I'll pass that message on for you, David.
Thank you. I can see David's message. Yeah, g'day, David.
Oh, wonderful.
It was
excellent.
Quick, we said hello on Peer Street. That's right, yes.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll move on to the next item that was discussed. So tell me how you'll be different to other candidates as Lord Mayor. So there are a few people that have put their hands up that we're all aware of, and that fortunately I've been able to speak to. How do you think you will be different to the others that have put their sort of campaign forward so far?
Sure. Well, look, I know what I stand for and I know why I'm interested in doing this. For me, this is an opportunity for me to give back to the city that has been very, very good to me. My family came from somewhere else. They came from Greece. My family arrived in the early 1900s. The Zempilas and Simeon family, my mum's side, have only ever been treated with kindness and had wonderful opportunity. And I think clearly it's obvious the opportunity that I've had. And I've been fortunate enough to have a wonderful broadcasting career for nearly 30 years. So firstly, it's an opportunity for me to give back to the city that has been very kind to me and embraced me, if you like. Secondly, what do I bring to it? Well, I'm a leader. I'm a communicator. I am super energetic. I've got a lot of ideas. I love working with teams. And importantly, I love getting in and getting jobs done. So that's a bit of what I'm about. I think people know my radio and television broadcasting backgrounds. I intend to bring those additional skills to the role, and I think that's something that sets me apart. I don't think there's any doubt about what I do, what I have done for many years in Perth, and what I can bring to the role. And I think the other candidates have their own respective strengths. And I think in this campaign, that clear choice will become evident. People will have a choice. And you know, the best thing about this campaign, with another 3 months to go, at the moment, 4 terrific candidates, I'm including myself in that, I'm one of those 4 terrific candidates, all great ideas, all great enthusiasm. It seems to me everyone is passionate about Perth and wants to put Perth first. So how wonderful that is for the city of Perth, after a negative conversation for so long around Perth, to finally have the chance to put a line in the sand, to reset and to begin to move forward. So I'm excited about the ideas and the energy that this campaign is going to bring forward.
Absolutely. And I think speaking to all of you guys now, that the goal and the end goal is all the same in terms of what we want for our city. It's just how we're going to get there. So I think that's a really good point, that everybody's strong, but just in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, clearly I've looked at what the other candidates have been saying. I think there are a lot of great ideas, a lot of great energy, and a lot of great enthusiasm. And out of that, Perth should be the winner. It's a sporting cliche, but I think that's what's most exciting about the next 3 months.
Absolutely. So if you were successful, what would your top 3 goals be? What would be the top 3 things on your agenda?
Sure. Okay. Well, I make this is, I think, well known. People have heard my views on this, and it's been a theme over the last couple of weeks since my candidacy was announced. But I want a cleaner and safer city. To me, from all of the people whose doors I've knocked on in the last 10 days, and they're both business and residents, but also in my extensive conversations in the lead up to this period, people don't necessarily feel as safe in the city as they should. And I think that is an absolute priority of mine. Not I think, it is an absolute priority of mine. It should be a safer and cleaner city. And in many ways, I'm of the view that this is a bit of a confidence game that we're playing at the moment. People love Perth. They love our city. It's a beautiful city. Look outside today. Winter, middle of winter, how glorious is it? Perth is not broken and Perth is not terrible. We can turn it around quickly. But the fundamental building block for me is a cleaner and safer city. And once we start to attract families back and people feel safer to be in our city, I think we have immense possibilities to turn the rest of it around very quickly. Secondly, and this is broader, but I'm really focused on, as I mentioned at the top, attracting, but also creating compelling family-focused events and attractions. Right at the moment, Sky Show is one, the Christmas pageant is another, maybe some of the attractions at Elizabeth Quay, but there's not a lot of things for families that they can only do within the city of Perth. There's some, but there's not a lot. I love the idea of people-focused events. I think Fringe is absolutely brilliant, and Perth comes to life during Fringe. And the people at Fringe do a wonderful, wonderful job. I'm on the record as having said that when I was in Sydney over the last 3 years working weekends, 3 times, the Vivid Festival came up. And people from New South Wales came from everywhere to be in the city of Sydney. Now, I'm not saying we're going to copy that, and I'm not saying we're going to spend the money that they spend, but I love the idea of starting off small and then building an event that is ours, that we can build on, which showcases Western Australians and Western Australian ideas and all of the great things. So another example of a people-focused event. But other smaller things, for example, like I do think we need a farmers market. We need to find the right place for that farmers market. And I actually have a view. One of my radio colleagues, Steve Mills, first suggested it to me, and I love the idea. Perhaps Gloucester Park in East Perth is the place for that. It's a beautiful building. It's got those iconic gates. I think the farmers market needs to have a permanent structure to make it work. It's there. It's not overused. Maybe that's the spot for it. So that's another example of one of the things that I would like to do. People-focused events and attractions, very, very important to me. And thirdly, and I mentioned this earlier, this is bigger picture, but it is a bit of a passion project, if you like. I think this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Australia's Indigenous Cultural Centre and Museum, one that Australia doesn't have at the moment, to be in Perth, Western Australia. And I would like it that when every tourist from overseas says to a friend in Australia, okay, I'm coming to Australia, where do I need to go? People might say, well, you probably should go to Sydney to see the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. It's amazing. And you must go to Perth to see our Indigenous Museum and Cultural Centre. And I love the opportunity that we have here. There's an appetite for it. It's time for it. Western Australia is the logical choice for it. And Perth, maybe on the banks of the Swan River, is the ideal location. And one of the things I would love to drive if I was Lord Mayor, it's not going to be the City of Perth that's going to pay for the facility on its own, but the Lord Mayor and the Council can be a major driver in negotiating and liaising between federal government, state government and the private sector to make sure that we don't miss out and that project is here in Perth. The wonderful jobs that would bring, the wonderful sense of pride that would bring in Perth, but also a story that needs to be told and told properly. And why shouldn't we tell it here in Perth?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that. So I've just got a few people asking a few questions. So I'm going to go back to Andrew's right now because what would a working day look like for you? Everybody is very curious and anxious to understand if successful, how your day will pan out. And Andrew has also asked, how many hours a week would you commit to your duties? So let's talk about that.
Sure. Okay. Well, the answer is I will commit as many hours as it needs. But there's a lot of talk about, Basil would be a part-time Lord Mayor. Look, part-time or full-time are not things that exist in my language. I go full on, full bore, full-time at absolutely everything I do. Ask anybody that I've ever worked with over a long 30-year career. But in a specific sense, let me give you the answer. I do radio at the moment in East Perth. Down at 6PR. I'm in East Perth each and every day, and it's part of the reason I love the area so much. I'm finished on air at 9 o'clock, and I'm not due at Channel 7 again in the afternoon until 4 o'clock. So from 9 till 4, my time is mine to devote to whatever I need to devote it to. I'm finished at Channel 7 at 7 o'clock. The evenings are mine. And weekends, which once upon a time were filled with travel to the east or to AFL broadcasting commitments, they are no longer committed in that way. So weekends are entirely mine. I haven't done the sums on that, but I think it's worth for Andrew and for everybody factoring this in. And you asked me, what would I bring to the job that other people would not? I start on air at 5 o'clock every morning, and I finish on air at the other end of the day at 7 o'clock. I would be on 24/7 for Perth. 4 hours on the radio in the morning. I just cannot see how that is not a great thing for any city anywhere in the world to have their mayor accessible, available, and talking about the issues and the city that they are passionate about. And if later on that night, 200,000 viewers in Perth seeing their Lord Mayor on TV, I can't see how that is not a good thing. If that is not a brilliant advertisement for the city of Perth, well, then maybe I've missed the point. So for me, I'll be full-time, I'll be all the time, and I'll be 24/7. And I bring all of my energy and everything with it.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love that answer. Oh, you've got lots more people asking questions now.
Right.
So you have previously lived in the city, and we have touched on cleaning up the city and helping the city.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions are coming through are around homelessness. So I'm going to put it through to Andrew Shipp because he's asked 2 questions around this.
Yeah,
So what is your stance on homelessness in the CBD? Last year, you were quite vocal about removing homeless people.
Yeah.
Will you commit to more services to help those who are vulnerable in the CBD rather than moving them out into other areas?
Yeah, sure. So let me just clarify that. I was very passionate about a facility being at Princess Margaret Hospital. I mean, clearly, my view on the homeless people within our city is that we have to be firm, but we have to be fair. And we have to give those people hope. And we have to treat them with compassion. I mean, I think personally, they deserve better and our city deserves better. So I was advocating for a facility at Princess Margaret Hospital, or the old Princess Margaret Hospital site. And my view around that was if beds were available and we were able to put roofs over the heads of those who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, found themselves on the streets, then fabulous, let's do it. Now, I'm absolutely delighted that the state government has recently announced the Common Ground project. It's brilliant, and it offers a lot of the things that I was advocating for the Princess Margaret Hospital site. But I'll be clear on this. My view is we need to be able to provide accommodation for those who find themselves sleeping on our streets. It's not good for them. It's not good for us. But if there are beds available, if there is accommodation, emergency or crisis accommodation or more permanent accommodation available, then I don't think those people can just decide, no, I live on the streets of Perth. It is incumbent upon us to provide accommodation. So if we can find accommodation, we give those people an option not to have to live on the street. But on the services question, and it was one of the things that I was advocating for, I think how brilliant is the Common Ground project.
Amazing.
Not just accommodation, but magnificently, there are medical facilities, counselling available, Centrelink, jobs programs that can build self-esteem and confidence. And clearly that is what it is about. It is about breaking the cycle. So our first job is to find accommodation, and I'm thrilled with the state government's plan and approach. And then we all have to pitch in and help. It's a state government responsibility, homelessness, but it is everybody's responsibility. It's a shared responsibility, and it's one that a city of Perth that I lead would absolutely play its part in.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. So the next question we're going to talk about is young families in the city. Obviously, you're an advocate of bringing people into the city because we want more people to enjoy what we've got. What kind of fun things do you like to do with your family in the city, and what would you like to see more of?
Yeah, look, we love Elizabeth Quay. I'd love to see Elizabeth Quay finished, obviously, and I think it would be terrific if we could move things along in that direction. I understand that development takes time. We get that, but we absolutely love Elizabeth Quay. We love riding our bikes along the river. We've really become great and avid bike riders. We're some of the few people that still enjoy going to the movies in the city, because I grew up going to the movies in the city, and I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. I lament the fact that almost all of the cinemas now are out in the suburbs. For
Yeah.
me, and for my family, uh, shopping properly is shopping in the city. And now
Yeah.
I know that for many people, that has become a suburban thing, and there are reasons of convenience and other things like that why. But we love, pardon me, we love to take the family into the city. A trip to the Apple Store is one of the great things that we love to do, and the hotels in the city. We try at least a couple of times a year to take the family into one of the hotels in the city to stay and to explore the city and go for a walk. And I know the kids get sick of it, but my grandfather's first business, the Town Hall Fruit Palace, directly across the road from the Town Hall, was at 53 Barrack Street. I take the kids for a walk and I say, that's where your grandfather first came to Perth, the
Oh,
first business he opened. And then I walk them through the Hay Street Mall and down Piccadilly Arcade and say, that's where your dad used to work. That's where I worked at my Uncle Paul's menswear store. So we love exploring the city and we love discovering it. The Christmas pageant's a big event for us. Sky Show has always been a big event for us.
yeah.
And Kings Park on the border has been. There's a lot more things, though, that we can do. And I'd like to see families in the city every weekend, not just on occasional weekends.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you did live in the city at one point. So,
Yeah,
was there any
I
reason
lived in
why
the
you
city for
chose to leave?
Yeah. I lived in the city for 18 years.
Yeah,
I lived in the city until February of this year. My children now are 9, nearly 7, and 3, and we're in an apartment. And it was time, frankly, to give the kids a backyard. But
right.
importantly, my parents, who've been so influential and played such a big role in my life, they're 92 and 91 now.
Oh, wow.
They needed family around them to
Mm,
just make sure that everything was okay.
of
And
course.
so, as well as giving the kids a backyard, we've moved into the same suburb that I grew up in, Floreat, which incidentally was in the city of Perth when I grew up before the boundaries changed. And
Oh, wow.
we're round the corner from mum and dad now. But I'm a city boy. I work in the city every day. I still drive to my old place at 4:30 in the morning and park there, and then I
Yeah,
walk from the bottom of Mount Street down St George's Terrace, cut across at the town hall onto Hay Street and down to 6PR. And I do that every day
brilliant.
because I love to see the city, I love to feel the city, and I love to be in the city. And then I walk home again after that, back to the car. So
Oh, that's nice.
I'm a Perth boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it's more so just to be closer to family and to allow the children to be closer to your family as well as they're getting older, your parents.
Absolutely. 3 kids in an apartment was great. Had our third been a girl, maybe we would have been able to handle it. But little Anthony, he wanted to kick the football straight away, and we weren't as comfortable with the light fittings being bashed into all the time. So
Yeah, I can relate to
it's
that.
it's for those reasons that I now live in Florida.
All right, lovely. And a question we have around potential media conflict. So,
Mm,
how do you intend to balance conflict of interest should they arise, given that you would have multiple contracts should you become Lord Mayor?
mm.
Would it be reasonable to potentially reduce your remuneration package accordingly, should that be the case?
Mm. Whose remuneration package is that? I haven't thought of that, but is that the remuneration package
The
of
City of
my
Perth, I
first
believe. Yeah, the mayor,
City
the
of
Lord
Perth?
Mayor.
Sure. Okay. Well, first thing I'll say is I've not thought of that, and that's the first time that's been mentioned to me. And I must say, on that score alone, they are matters to consider if I were lucky enough to be successful. Right at the moment, my only focus is taking nothing for granted and working as hard as I can to be elected Lord Mayor of the City of Perth. So that I would deal with at that time. I'm on the record as having said that talkback radio and the role of Lord Mayor may well need to be looked at, how compatible they are or how well they go together. But again, that would be for post-election victory, if indeed I was lucky enough to. And on the topic of conflict, well, like every councillor on every council around Australia, if an issue comes up that the council is about to discuss or a vote is about to be put and it relates to them specifically, to their family, or to whoever they happen to work for, and just about every councillor around the country works like I would be a working Lord Mayor, I, of course, would recuse or excuse myself from that conversation, and certainly recuse myself from that vote. So if it was anything to do with me, my family, or my employer, I would not be a part of that decision-making process. And that, as my understanding is what every decent councillor on every decent council around the country does when an issue or topic like this arises.
I was going to say you'll follow the code of conduct.
Exactly. That's what it's there for. And
Exactly.
it's funny, so people have said to me, are you ready for the scrutiny that comes with potentially being on council or being Lord Mayor? And I say to them, Raj, I've been in the media for 30 years here in Perth. I know scrutiny.
It's a piece of cake.
My life is an open book, and most people know just about everything about my life. I don't hide it. I've got a very public persona on social media, as does my wife, Amy. So there are no secrets with us. Scrutiny has been my whole life. Everything I've done has been in the public eye. This is an extension of that. So not only am I ready for scrutiny, I welcome the scrutiny. Everything has to be done properly. I won't bore you, but my parents brought me up with three very simple values. They said you should work hard, you should use common sense, and you should do the right thing. They are three very simple, basic philosophies that have guided my broadcasting career and indeed everything I've done in my life. And it is those same three basic principles, if successful, that I would bring to the role of Lord Mayor.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a really good answer. Thank you for that. So we're pretty much near the end now, Basil, but I'm going to ask one question that Kay Cooper's been patiently waiting on. She sent quite early on in the piece, but she was referring to cut parking costs in the city to help more people come to the city. Is that something that you're an advocate of and that you would try and push forward?
Well, clearly, and what we've seen it during this COVID period, I haven't spoken to a retailer or a customer who hasn't enjoyed the more relaxed parking regulations that have been in place. So it is clearly an issue that we need to talk about. We know about the parking levy, and that obviously is something that the state government is particularly instrumental in. I mean, I would love to push for a reduction in that rate, and so that more money from parking is spent here in the city of Perth. But absolutely, yes. Can we find a better way to manage parking? Can we make parking more attractive for customers, for those coming into the city of Perth? I think we can, and it's something that my council, a council that I was a part of, would absolutely have an appetite for. Because unless we can get people into the city, I talk about ripping it up and helping it up, unless we can make accessibility easier, some of those other brilliant things we do won't matter if people can't find their way into the city. So it has to be something that is always on the agenda.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I would like to say a massive thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. And have a super happy birthday, because I believe it's your birthday next week.
Exactly. This time, tomorrow
on the 30th.
Week, yes, tomorrow week, Raj. Thank you very much.
There you
well
go.
Done. I'm well aware of the brilliant work being done by many in the East Perth community. I know how vibrant it is. I know how that great mix of singles, families, professionals, retirees, a lot of people really invested in the East Perth community. As I say, I work down at the bottom of Hay Street every weekday, and I love being, in my own way, part of the East Perth community. So well done to all of you, and I hope quite sincerely that I can be your Lord Mayor, because I'm hoping to be your Lord Mayor for our city. That's my aim.
Oh, well, listen, I want to thank you so much again. And the next time we have a community group meeting, we will definitely be in touch, and would love to have you on and for the community people to have a chat with you and air out any issues or things they wish to discuss with you. And I wish you all the best for your campaign for Lord Mayor. Thank you so much for your time, Basil. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks,
Take care.
Good night to you. We'll speak again soon. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Oh, I would just like to thank you all for watching today. That was a really, really good interview, and I hope you enjoyed it. And next week will be the last Live at 5. We'll be speaking to Christina from the Wacker development, who will be talking to us a little more about what may potentially be happening over there. So I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Have a great week and take care. Bye-bye.